Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. I hope you're faring as well as I am these days as far as these head colds. I've been surviving on cough drops, nasal sprays, Advil, and chicken soup, I think. So if I sound a little raspy or wheezy, I apologize. I'm actually in good shape today compared to about 3 days ago where I thought I was on death's doorstep. Anyways, I want to say good afternoon to all of my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people. And thanks for joining us on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Appreciate you joining us. And as always, we have a show in store for all of my viewers and listeners that I think you're going to find pretty darn interesting today. Okay. We've been talking about spring. I got my haircut for spring. I get 4 haircuts a year, whether I want to or not. It's a family tradition. When you have cosmetologists in the family, you got to get your haircut. So I got it all trimmed up and getting ready for the warmer weather. I guess today is supposed to be a little bit better, and then Sunday they're talking like tomorrow in the 60s, and I guess Tuesday we're supposed to be 40s, 50s. So it's just warming up. No blooms at my house yet. I've heard a few crocuses popping up here and there. My forsythia that's behind me here, I keep checking my bush and it's ready to burst. I go, come on, you can do it. So anyways, but I want to remind you that this is a live call-in show, and from the last we heard, we're still the only live TV show in Chautauqua County that works without a net. Nobody blips us unless we do something really stupid. But give us a call at 753-5225 in the event that your club or organization has something going on. Most of the time we get things right here. I got them all typed up that come to us, and that's awesome. As I always say, you guys have done a great job of keeping up with me, and that's what we're about here, is communicating what's going on in different parts of the county. It's just not in our sector. We try to get all over the place. But if you do have a birthday announcement or whatever, give us a call. We're happy to do that. Also, I want to remind you that coming up in June, the Three Amigos will ride again. And let's pop that picture up. We're going to do this every week, so get used to it. There we are. Randy, Jeff, and myself, we are going to be doing the 34-mile ride for Roswell. And we are the Chautauqua Sunrisers. That's the name of our team. And we're going to be accepting donations online, not through ourselves, but through Ride for Roswell. And you can look up our names, or you can look up Chautauqua Sunrisers if you care to donate. And we encourage you to. $5, $10, it doesn't matter. Any amount will be great. We're not the only team in Chautauqua County. The Hollyloft team does a lot of fine work and have been doing it for years. We're the new kids on the block. But we've just been enjoying riding together and talking about riding, and so we decided to form our own little team, and we encourage anybody that wants to join us, let us know. We'll get you a t-shirt. Well, I hope you're all doing well. I want to tell you how my day started today at 3:52 this morning. This is a true story. I know a lot of times I tell you these stories, you think, is this really true? But pretty much, I tell you about 99% of the time that it's true stories. 3:52 in the morning, Justin. You know, you got the iPhone and the room lights up. You know how that happens? You know, bling, and all of a sudden I hear beep beep because it dings, and I look at the phone and it says, "Hello, I'm your driver. I'm here to pick you up at the Basel airport in Switzerland, and go through the French customs, and we'll have a driver on the other side." I go, what? Well, I have no idea why I got that message, other than the fact we will be in Basel, Switzerland in August, and they're going to take us to the airport, not pick us up at the airport. So I wrote to my travel agent and I said, straighten this out, please. So then, an hour later, the phone rings. Bling, lights up again. This time the phone is ringing, and it's from France. And Barb says to me, what's that? I go, nobody, I hit the button, stop it, I'm not answering this, I'm not talking to anybody. I have no idea what that's all about, but that's how my day started. I hope your day started in a better shape than that. Okay, we have a bunch of announcements and we'll get to our show, but spring has sprung here in Chautauqua County, and I say this every year, man, if there is a reason to sit on the couch at home and do nothing, I haven't figured it out, because there's so much going on in Chautauqua County, every corner of our county. So, and as the weather gets nicer, more and more places, venues are having live music again. We have pancake breakfasts, we've got spaghetti dinners, we've got live music in the parks. I mean, this place just it's alive again. So have a listen and see if there's something that you might be interested in. I'm going to start out in Jamestown with my good friends at Infinity. They have their World Tour Day Camp. Okay, this is going to be running from April 23rd through the 26th, and it's a day camp for kids, and they're going to be touring a new country every day through music, art, dance, theater, language, costume, and a whole lot more. We'll have you home in time for dinner every night. The program runs from 9 to 4 daily. Students ages 6 to 12 are welcome. If you're interested, give them a call at 664-0991. All right, now, listen carefully. I got them right here in my pocket. Today, if you want to stop this show right now, you can drop everything, because I'll be on the show again at 2 and at 8 today, all right? And tomorrow, and the day after that. But for those of you who are in Jamestown listening on Tuesday, it's going to be too late. But for those of you that are live right now, you can stop what you're doing, or you can watch the show till 10 o'clock, jump in the car, and go to Brockton, because my Rotary Club, the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, is having their annual pancake breakfast, all right? And this is going to help fund our scholarship program that goes through 4 different schools, and we give 8 different scholarships away. And we've got tickets right here for the crew here. And Randy and me and Emerald, I think they're going to grab Jeff too, I'm not sure. But we're going to go get some breakfast, and they have takeouts and so forth. Ready? Yum, yum. Okay. But tickets are only $7. All pancakes you can eat. They're going to supply with some sausage, applesauce, coffee, tea, grape juice, and kids from 6 to 12 is $5. Kids ages 5 and under are free. And you can go right there at the door at the Brockton School, walk in. Walk-ins are fine, and pay right there. So anyways, a bunch of us are going to be there from the studio, and if you see us, come on up, then you can chat with us. We'd love to talk to you, and if you want to tell us about the show or what you think of it, that's great too. or about my guest that I was going to be on in a little while. And here I go. So that's coming up this morning. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Mission Community Youth Center. Okay, and they're asking you if you're ready for Lent, and it's kind of hard to read, and this is the last weekend they're going to have it, but they have a fish fry or a chicken dinner waiting for you. Just come down to the Mission Community Youth Center at Healing Word Ministries, located at 1006 West 3rd Street, and $10 a plate and a chance to win a daily door prize. And so it's going to be today and tomorrow, okay? And they want you to know that they appreciate your help and have a great, blessed day. All right, coming up, the Chamber of Commerce of Chautauqua County is pleased to announce that both Assemblyman Andrew Goodell and the recently retired State Senator Catherine Young, I bet you that sounds good to her, recently retired, will be speakers for the Chamber's annual State Legislative Breakfast, Friday, April 12th. That's coming up next week. Well, it depends on how you look at it. It's either this week or next week. We are very excited that Kathy can join us, as they say, as it will be an opportunity to hear her perspective on opportunities for the Southern Tier as part of her new role as Director of the Center of Excellence for Food and Agriculture at Cornell Agritech, and to discuss the New York State budget and proposed legislation. Senator Young served the residents of the 57th State Senate District for 14 years until she stepped down March 11th. Of course, Andy Goodell continues to serve the 150th State Assembly District, as you know. Okay, so that's going to be held on April 12th at 8:30, and it's going to be held at the Lakewood Rod and Gun Club. Great, beautiful venue there. Tickets are $18 if you're a chamber member and $21 for non-members. If you're interested, give them a call at 366-6200 or 484-1101. Okay, let's go to Ripley. We got a few things going on in Ripley. All right. They've got something going on, an all-you-can-eat breakfast on April 13th. All right, pancakes, sausage, bacon, made-to-order eggs, and toast, including omelets. Wow, fried potatoes, biscuits, and sausage and gravy. Wow, orange juice and coffee. This is quite a spread. $7. From 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., all proceeds will benefit the Owen Miller Scholarship Fund. So again, Ripley United Methodist Church next Saturday. Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hartley, 87th episode. He's getting long in the tooth. At Shawbuck, 6:30 p.m. on Monday, April 15th. So that's coming up, okay? Don Dixon and the Jacob Ferry Stragglers, hosted by Todd Berg of Todd, I don't know if it's Burge or Berg. Burge? All right, I never know. Todd Burge, I've got an expert here with me. Look upon his works, ye mighty in despair. Larry Gross, host of NPR's Mountain Stage, says. Best known among the key producers to emerge from the American underground's jangle pop movement of the early 80s, Don Dixon also enjoyed a cult following as a solo performer. A native of North Carolina, he dwelled in relative obscurity, I know the feeling, for well over a decade as a member of the little-known Arrogance, before attracting his first significant notice around 1983 and co-producing with Mitch Easter's REM's landmark debut, LPM Murmur. Having a man like Don Dixon on our stage is a real privilege. He is experienced in every aspect of the business. He is well respected everywhere. With any luck at all, he'll respect me, says Ken Hartley. Always with the jokes. Hailing from the mountain towns of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maryland, the Jacobs Ferry Stragglers draw freely from old-time bluegrass, jamgrass, rockabilly, and swing music to create their own brand of high-energy Appalachian bluegrass. Flat Out, one of the best bluegrass albums released this year, White Lightning Road, Appalachian Jam Witch. Their goal is simple: write good songs, honor the music, have fun, and take it to the road. And I think a lot of musicians feel that way. Okay, so what's the deal? April 15th at Shawbucks. Tickets are $15. Show starts at 6:15. They have a happy hour starting at 5:30. And as I mentioned over and over again, one of the best parts of the show to me is the meet and greet, especially if you want to know and talk music with the performers. Give them a call at 294-0416, And tickets are also available online at Rolling Hills Radio, all one word, .org/tickets. All right. See what else? Oh, got some on this side. Okay, slide 19, Easter Carnival. It's Children's Safety Education Village, a group near and dear to my heart. That's coming up April 20th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Food, crafts, games, train rides, prizes, face painting, Easter Bunny pictures. It says East Bunny. Who writes these things? Easter Bunny pictures, Easter parade, fun demos, and a whole lot more. 4 free game tickets with children's admission. General admission is a whopping $3. Ages 3 to 12 are $2. Excuse me, and ages 2 and under are free. Give them a call, 338-0170 for more information. Just when you thought you had one Easter egg hunt and carnival, we got another one. Slide 20 is Easter egg hunt and visit with the bunny. It's going to be held same day, April 20th. It's going to be at the Ripley School lawn at 1:30. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is Easter Bunny at the Ripley Fire Hall. Crafts and games and live bunnies in Westfield Stray Cat Rescue will be there. This is sponsored by the PTO and the Firemen's Auxiliary. So there's a Easter egg hunt there on the school lawn. That should be fun. Hopefully the weather's nice. Hey, you stressed out? Today's young people are stressed. Okay, April 23rd, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. over at the Fluvanna Community Church. They're going to have a presenter, Taylor Winter, who's a certified healer educator. They're going to be talking about ways to deal with stress in young people's lives. And if you want more information, give CASIC a call or go to their website, CASIC Web, C-A-S-A-C Web, all one word, .org, if you want more information. All right, took care of that page. Still going. All right, I'm going to skip that one right now. And we're going to skip that one. Let's go to slide 23, Prevention Works. Okay. Prevention Works fundraising event is April 30th from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Masonic Lodge in Fredonia. Tickets are $11. They're going to be serving Chevetta's Chicken Barbecue, sponsored by CASIC once again. Takeouts and dining is available. Barbecue chicken, half of one. Mashed potatoes, green beans, and dinner roll. Pre-sale tickets are guaranteeing your dinner. For more information and ticket sales, 366-4623. And let's just have a little look at this one more time. And this is sponsoring Prevention Works. All right, they're doing a lot of work with that organization. All right, let's see. Okay, let's go to slide 24. This is over to Jamestown now. And this is Save the Date. May 4th, they're old. They're 100 years old. And Rotary, as you know, is one of the things I am just deeply involved with. And our good friends at Jamestown are celebrating their 100th year of service to their community. It's a big event. It's $100 a person. And there's lots of raffle prizes and so forth. And it's going to be held at Chautauqua Harbor Hotel. And if you want more information, give them a call at 489-2800. All right, Shred It. Shred It event is going to be held in Westfield at the Westfield Memorial Hospital parking lot. Okay, this is being sponsored by the Westfield Memorial Hospital Auxiliary. It's from 10 a.m. to noon on May 4th, $10 a container. And for those of you who are just finishing up on your income tax and realize that you are like me, that have 14 years of income tax papers that you really don't need, this is the time to get rid of them. And it's done in a way that is confidential. Okay, going back to Ripley. Number 26, The Untouchables, live and in concert. All right, this is a benefit for Ripley Library Building Fund, and it's going to be held on Saturday, May 11th at Quincy Cellars. Nice venue. Tickets are $25 a person, and they're going to have, I think, some refreshments. Let me see what it says here. Music, fun, and food. And this band out here is pretty cool, and they have a whole act, and they do a lot of the classic rock, I believe. Okay, so we'll talk more about that another time. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Quincy Cellars. All right, and then, still in Ripley, don't go anywhere. The Ripley Women's Club Annual Spring Banquet is going to be held at Meters, one of our underwriters in their dining hall, Thursday, May 16th. Buffet starts at 6 p.m., $20 per person. Reservation should be made by May 10th, and you can contact any one of the women's club members. And yours truly will be playing, not singing, just playing background music at that event. And I think I've been to at least, I'd say 13 or 14 of these over the years. So it's a great opportunity to learn what's going on in your community. And finally, what to do about challenging behavior, Emerald. What? When you're a parent, you have to deal with these things sometimes. There's a free workshop on June 1 at the Boys and Girls Club of Jamestown, sponsored by CASIC. And as more information comes up on that, we'll let you know. But this is recommended for family and caregivers of children, especially with disabilities. But this could be for any family. Okay? So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is for you.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
All right, we're back. I'm still Doc Hamels, and you were watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and I'm glad you could join us and listen to us today. And as I go throughout the year and I'm looking to schedule things, I think, well, who else should I have on the show? And I thought, well, there's some voices out there that you never get to see their faces. So I thought, let's get a voice from Chautauqua County that many of you probably have heard over the years in a variety of places, or perhaps read his work. And I invited Jason Sample from WRFA. Good morning, Jason, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you were a bit hesitant to come on the show at first.
Yeah, I'm a radio guy. I don't like television cameras. I don't like having to fix my hair. So it's
You got that covered, though. Yeah. I'm the one who's got to worry about his hair.
It's it's a little different. It's the same principle: broadcasting, talking with people, doing interviews. But it is somewhat intimidating when you're used to not having any cameras on you. So
I know the
visual
feeling.
aspects
I know the
can
feeling.
Throw you off.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody the other day is that on camera when you look at the monitor, you go raise your right hand. It's the left hand that goes up, so I start pointing to the wrong things and stuff like that. But we have a great time here. And Justin, what show is this? Do we know? Okay, he keeps me honest here. This is going to be our 249th show. Wow.
Nice, impressive. And
Yeah.
you do a wonderful job too, by the way.
Thank you.
Because you broadcast on WRFA, I hear it every week when I'm at work, and enjoy the interviews you do, all the people you have on.
Mm-hmm.
Blown away by your volunteers, how professional they are, and the fact that you don't pay them anything is a travesty, but yet you're able to do it.
I give them
so
pancakes.
that works. That would work for me as well.
Yeah.
But you do a wonderful job, so
Thanks,
I really
Jason.
enjoy being here and watching the show as well.
Well, and Dennis Drew and I had kind of collaborated on this. I don't even remember how long it's been. It's been about 4 years, I think. And it just was a perfect connection, a perfect marriage of the two media. And gosh, I just love it when people come up and say they heard us on the radio, or you guys have events, things like that. I try to cover those as well. And I think we're all on the same page. We're all here for Chautauqua County. It's not an ego thing or whatever. And I'll put a plug in for you guys, because I enjoy listening to various shows that you have, because you can't hear any other shows like that in Chautauqua County. And I don't know if people know this or not, but you can download an app for free. I have it on my phone, and you can listen to you guys 24/7 or anywhere in the world.
Right.
I think I even listened to you when I was in Germany one day.
Right on.
Yeah, because it's so cool. So anyways, Jason, you and I seem like we're always just kind of crisscrossing the county from time to time. I've seen you in so many different roles, my different roles, your different roles. So tell us a little bit about yourself and anything you want to share. Just the juicy stuff, of course.
Right on. Chautauqua County native, from the Falconer area, Falconer School District. Graduated from there.
Okay.
Spent some time at JCC, and then I West Virginia University graduate. Graduated in 2000 from there. Came back and started working at WJTN Radio, which is the AM news station in the Jamestown area. Did that for about 7 or 8 years. Also worked as a on-air disc jockey for the rock station. Did sports broadcasts. I still do football games from time to time. And little bit of time in print media with the Chautauqua Star, and then in 2011, I wanted to get back to my radio roots. There was an opportunity at WRFA Radio, and so I got hired there as the public affairs director to do interviews with our elected officials, individuals from the community, and just keep our listeners informed on what's happening in the Jamestown area. So that's sort of like where I've been and where I'm from in a nutshell. And I've been at WRFA since then, since 2011, so going on 8 years now.
All right, so you're sitting in Faulkner and you're daydreaming in the middle of a history class or whatever. So
I did a lot of, right?
So did you always want to be a radio personality?
Yeah, I really did. I mean, obviously when you're a kid, there's different things you want to be growing up, but I had the gift of the voice. It's nothing I did on my own. It was probably just genetics and family, but people always told me I'm loud. I enunciate very well.
Right.
And I would just do a lot of theater in school, and I enjoyed talking and using my voice. And, the guidance counselor would suggest, well, why don't you try getting into broadcasting or things along those lines. So that's exactly what I did. I was really, did the morning announcements in high school. I wanted to be on the radio. I went to college for communications, and then at West Virginia, I studied broadcast journalism.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really just one of those
So
things.
you
that
went all in on this.
Yeah,
All
yes
right.
it was.
You said you have a loud voice. Do you ever get this from somebody when you're at dinner? Be quiet. You're
All
too
the
loud.
time. When I was younger, all the time, and now I've realized that my voice is pretty loud and powerful. So
I get that
I
a
toned
lot.
it down quite a bit.
Being a singer, you develop a certain lung capacity to suck in air, and I can get loud, and I forget that. And my wife's always going, "Will you quiet?" You're
Right.
not like Pavarotti here. You're just blasting.
Yeah, I'm in the same room as you, not across the.
Yeah,
the house, so.
I got you. Tone it down. But so, did you work with Dennis Webster then? And,
Certainly worked with Jim Roselli,
Oh,
legendary broadcaster, the late great Jim Roselli.
Yeah.
Worked with Dennis Webster. Terry Frank
Yep.
was my
Yep.
news director, so he was really my boss, so to speak, my immediate boss, and that's really where I cut my teeth on learning about local politics, local government, civics, and things along those lines. I mean, obviously you study political science and government in college, but until you actually focus on a particular area and understand the backstory and the history behind what's happening at the county level or the city level in Jamestown, you really don't appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I really did learn quite a bit from my time at WJTN, and I still have fond memories there, and they still let me back on the air once in a while there. So
Dennis Webster and I did a show for 3 years. I think it was every other Saturday morning. It was called Education Works, Skills for Success. And again, like you said, you have fond memories of radio. And and this wasn't even in the era of the big radio, where they had audiences and all that stuff. But it was still a lot of fun. And my favorite memory was actually two of them. Was Dennis had a tape of an interview or something, and he plays it, and it's getting a little slower, and he jumps up and he puts his pencil in the tape, and he just does this until it was the right speed.
The
And I was going,
reel-to-reels,
"Oh
right?
my God!" And then another time we were talking, and all of a sudden my microphone just started drifting downward, and I'm going. I was like almost down to the end of the table, keep talking, never skipped a beat, and then picked it up on the commercial break. But those are things you never see because obviously on radio you just can't. But and then of course doing TV is just a whole lot different.
Dennis Webster, a short story about him. His timing is impeccable.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is the master of back timing. In radio, that's very important when you do live radio. And I can remember I'd be there in the mornings getting my newscast ready to go, and it'd be about maybe he'd have to do an announcement at 5:59 in the morning, so he could hit the 6 o'clock news on ABC. And I'm looking around, where's Dennis? And he's nowhere in the building. He's out in the parking lot looking at the weather so he can give the weather update before he jumps on the air. And 30 seconds before he has to be on the air, he still isn't there. 20 seconds on the air, and just like clockwork, he has it down to the second. He walks casually through the doors, through the studio, into the studio, and right when it was his mark, he'd turn on his microphone and start talking, and he did it every morning.
Yeah, I would watch him do
master.
that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Or all the controls he'd have, he just bip, 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 and it was like, what are you doing? And it was like he was typing. So yeah, it's fun to watch people do their
It's a true
trade.
talent to have that. Some people have it and some don't. You can try to train yourself as much as possible, but I guess the longer you're in radio, the more you get it. But then it's always
Okay, one voice to another voice. How do you not get a cold?
Garlic.
Garlic?
I'm not even Italian, but I'll tell you, they say if you feel like a cold setting in, my wife told me this one time, and it's true, it worked for me, is that if I'm starting to feel under the weather, I will start having tablespoons of raw garlic, minced garlic, plug your nose, down it with some water, and do that about twice a day, and then within 3 days you feel fine. And vitamin C, of course.
Vitamin C's. Okay, because
a lot of rest.
You know, I made it through the whole winter, no cold, and as soon as that spring
nobody
came,
will want to be around you if you've been eating a lot of garlic, because it comes, it permeates through your pores, but it makes you feel better. So
now, is it true that your boss is a maniac?
Yes, he is. He is literally one of 10,000 maniacs, as a matter of fact. That is true.
So that must be kind of interesting, working in an environment that not only is radio but has that musical side to it, musicality. Does that spill into the studio with his band?
Oh, certainly. Dennis is. He's literally is a maniac. Not only is he a member of the 10,000 Maniacs, but I mean, he'll just break out and sing a song that kind of has been sitting in his head, and they'll share it with the whole office and start singing. But he's really a great person to work with and for as well. But yeah, his musicality is always there. He's always singing, always talking about music or politics. But yeah, he's something else. You know, it's one of those things where growing up, you knew who the 10,000 Maniacs were when I was in high school. This is back in their heyday, back in the 80s.
And you probably remind him of that.
And, you know, I mean, the graduation song with These Are Days, right? I mean, that's when I was in high school. Yeah. And then to work with one of the founding members of the Maniacs is really cool. Something that doesn't go unnoticed.
You know, we're talking about voices for a little bit. I mean, he's got a very succinct voice, very, very unique. And his diction and you know, and the funny thing is, you probably don't know this, he grew up, and I grew up for a short period of time, just down the street in Buffalo where I grew up.
Really?
Because he was on the show, and we were talking one day, and I don't even know for how many years, not many years, and then he ended up in Jamestown, but yeah, we have kind of a crazy connection there. But yeah.
There's a lot about Dennis I didn't know about, and you know, I always think he's just the keyboardist for 10,000 Maniacs, and then you start hearing more and more of his stories and his upbringing. He really is a fascinating person and a true jewel of Jamestown.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a little bit more on WRFA, since we work together and sponsor each other's media here. So you guys have gone under some radical changes there, right?
Yes.
So what's going on?
We had we were fortunate enough to be part of a $10 million grant the city of Jamestown received. We, as in the Reg Lene Center for the Arts.
$10 million?
New York State has
we would take like a little bit of that here.
Annual grant funding. Well, we didn't get it all, trust me.
Okay. Well, we'll take half of it. We'll take like a third of that little bit.
The Downtown Revitalization Initiative is what the program is called.
Nice.
And there's different regions of the state that receive this funding every year. Jamestown received it the first year. A portion of that $10 million, I think it might have been just over $1 million, went to renovate the Reg Lene Center for the Arts, which is a historic theater in Jamestown. Well, the Reg Lene Center for the Arts holds the license for WRFA.
Okay.
And since WRFA came on the air back in 2004, I believe it was, we've always kind of had a shoestring budget. We've always had a studio that was more or less a doctor's office formerly, or a reception area, no windows.
I'm a witness to that.
Yeah,
I was there. I saw
it. Duct tape and scotch tape and just whatever we could to make it go by. And finally, our executive director, Kathleen Eads, set aside a portion of the money they received for the renovations of the Reg Lene to go toward the radio station.
Nice.
So they were able to retrofit the space we use into what looks like actually a radio station studio now. So we now have, you know, we're bona fide. I always tell people we actually have a studio space now that looks like a radio station, and people are blown away every time they come in to see what it looks like, especially when they remember how it looked before. So we finally got in our new studio space near the end of 2018, so probably, I think it was early November, we got in this space, and it's worked great. You know, our volunteers love it because we are a community radio station. We're not for profit. The volunteers love coming in and working there. Us employees, myself and Dennis and Steve Schulman love going there. And it really is a night and day. You know, you don't feel ashamed when Congressman Tom Reed comes in to interview him, of saying, "Well, pardon the mess," you know, or "Hey, you know, don't mind this microphone that keeps on wobbling and falling over."
Well, like that was probably the same one I was chasing that day.
Exactly. So, yeah, it really is a great space, and it's a wonderful environment. So,
well, I'll have to drop down and see the the new
And
space.
that is just a portion. You know, I don't want people to think, wow, they got over the Reginald they got over $1 million and all went to a radio station. No. You know, there's some things that we wanted to do with the radio station we couldn't do because the budget was tight. We wanted to soundproof the studios more. So the sound downstairs, a restaurant immediately downstairs from where we're at in the radio station. People from Jamestown are familiar with that restaurant, but sometimes the noise will permeate through the second floor. And then upstairs, there's a multimedia function space where people can go up there and have conferences or just utilize whatever, and then the sound comes through below. And then the rooms are spacious, so the sound echoes around almost like I'm interviewing somebody in a chamber. So we've made it work though, and we're very happy with it. I'm not complaining.
I was thinking of the various permutations of this studio, and I was, from time to time, would work with Reed Powers down at the old train station, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think they had 8-carton containers on the walls for soundproofing.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive I'm right.
It's an old
I
trick.
think they were painted, but I'm pretty sure that was eggshell or 8-carton on the wall. And then now look at what we have here. So yeah, well, good for you. All right, so that's the radio side of you, but there's another side of you that you've been involved with the Chautauqua County Historical Society. And so what's your connection there? I mean, what got you involved with that and so on?
Well, I think I was at the Chautauqua Star still, and the gang down at the McClurg Museum, which is the home of the County Historical Society, wanted the Chautauqua Star to feature a story about them. Just kind of a highlight that the museum's there in Westfield. So I came down and wrote a story for them, did sort of a feature article about one of the jewels of Chautauqua County, the McClurg Museum. And then I think it was Jack Erickson and John Paul Wolf said, well, we really don't have anybody who has familiarity with publicity and marketing. So they certainly didn't ask me
I know where that's going.
my historical acumen, but they said, boy, how would you like to be on our board of trustees? And I'm like, oh, that sounds prestigious to be on the board of trustees of the County Historical Society. And they brought me on. This is back in 2011, in early 2011. Also, I had started volunteering at WRFA at the time too, and it was 2011. It was right at the time of the bicentennial for Chautauqua County. And I wanted to incorporate history into WRFA, and I said, well, I've got an idea, and I approached Michelle Henry, the county historian, along with the County Historical Society, and I said, how would you like to do a radio feature on a daily basis where we focus on 200 individuals from the county's past, 200 people for 200 years. So we called it the Bicentennial Biography Project. And for every day, we partnered with WDOE up in Dunkirk, with WJTN in Jamestown, and of course WRFA. And I would produce these little radio vignettes, maybe 60 seconds to 2 minutes in length, of just a notable individual from Chautauqua County, whether it be a founding pioneer, whether it be somebody who's gone on to do great things beyond, like Governor Reuben Fenton, just you name it, we would feature them. And they really enjoyed my enthusiasm for the project because I did appreciate history, and they really enjoyed the fact that I stuck with it. It wasn't just sort of something I promised to do and then fell asleep at the wheel. And so that also, I think, gave them incentive to ask me to join the board. So between publicity and marketing and that project, I came on board in 2011, and I've been on the board of trustees since.
Great. So you did 200 vignettes or little scenarios. So does any one of them pop out that like you didn't know and really surprised you that comes to mind?
You know, I can remember being astonished by the number of people who've gone on to do great things, and unfortunately I can't remember a lot of them, but there are, some, Lyle Foote, for example, who was a physician, early pioneer, settler of Jamestown, somebody that Foote Avenue. How did Foote Avenue get its name in Jamestown? Well, you realize, there's this guy called Lyle T. Foote. And then the more you read about him, the more you realize he was the county's first historian, right? He was the first person to really record history. And this wasn't in the day and age of the internet, or even, we're talking about, the early pioneer days when ground was still being broken and the roads were still being blazed. I mean, this is the early days. And he would go around Chautauqua County from his home in Jamestown, and he would just interview people who had first moved to the county when it was an unbroken wilderness and ask them what was it like. And he would do firsthand accounts and record them. And it was amazing to think somebody had that much dedication and effort and understood the importance of preserving these type of stories. So, how do we know the story of the War of 1812 and how, the first skirmish supposedly broke out in Dunkirk? Well, Eliel Foote went up and interviewed them, along with some other individuals as well. But he was, that's an example of what he did. He would talk to people who broke the trail through Westfield to Mayville. We think of the road has always been here through the French and all that, but it had grown over, and then you had to hire people to go in and break that road again.
Portage.
And so he would talk about just the settlement of the entire county, and it was fascinating how much work and effort. So we have the Foote papers that we preserved, and you go through and you look at them, and you can see it in his handwriting, his documentation of what he learned about, and that was fascinating to see somebody had that much time and effort to devote to the county history.
Hands over time.
And he was also a judge. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know if you've done genealogy for your family, but I've done tons of it. And when you come across a letter from something from 200 years ago, or you go and visit in Europe where your family came from, there's such a power to that. But also, I don't know, there was a period of time, and we've talked about this on the show, where people didn't want to talk about where they came from because they wanted to be Americans. They didn't want to talk about coming from this country or that country. So the oral history was gone. The paperwork, in some cases, was destroyed. And yet now we seem to want to find our roots, and this has been going on for a long time, so this is nothing new. But in many cases, it's quite a chore, but yet a fascinating trail to go back and find your roots. And so, have you done that? You said?
Oh, certainly. One of the most interesting things I found, family research-wise, was that the last name wasn't supposed to be Sample; it was supposed to be Maury.
What?
You realize that.
Maury?
So the Sample people from this area know that the Sample family moved to the Randolph area back in the 1820s, right?
Mm-hmm.
About 7 or 8 brothers settled there. This is about 7 or 8 generations removed from where I'm at. And one of them had a daughter, and the daughter married a Maury. Well, right shortly after they gave birth to their only child, she had died.
Oh.
And Maury, the father, not sure why, these are one of those mysteries in family research you never quite understand why, had left the area and left the son, the only son, to be raised by the grandparents who were Samples.
Yeah.
And so the only son assumed his maternal grandparents' name, and so he continued to be a Sample. Otherwise, and that was totally a shock. These are things you don't really realize or understand until you actually dig deep and look at the research and the evidence there. So that was and there's other stories obviously
Absolutely,
too. The commercial where I think I'm 75% Swedish, and you realize, wow, I'm only about 10% Swedish, that kind of thing. So
I'll tell you a really fast story, as fast as I can tell it, because it's really funny. I think it's funny. So my brother got his DNA tested through one of those things. I think I told this story on the show, I can't remember. And he got the results, and he was freaking out because we're supposed to be part Irish, part half Sicilian, and part Belgian. And nothing came up in Northwest Europe. It was everywhere else. And we're going like, wait a minute, how's this possible? We're not even close to being Belgian. And we had done all this research. We've been to Belgium. We met relatives there and all this stuff. So then I had it done, and the same thing came back. And I go, oh my gosh, this isn't boding well, because that means something's wrong in our family tree. So after probably a good month or two of extensive trying to figure this out, I get an update. There it was. We were back, and we had relatives in Northwest Europe.
That's the amazing thing with the Ancestry.com is that you can't rely totally on the evidence as it's initially presented, because as they get more DNA submitted,
exactly, it's a bigger pool.
The more they can pinpoint specifically, and I've seen those changes.
But boy, did that throw us for a while. We were going like, oh my gosh, what's this all about? So anyways, as a trustee at the Historical Society, what do you do?
I am like I said, they wanted me to help out with publicity, getting the word out about different things that are happening on a monthly or annual basis. So primarily, I'm in charge of submitting the public service announcements, the media releases, and keeping people up to speed on.
Do they pay you by the word, by any chance?
Don't I wish? Don't I wish? We are all volunteers. The Chautauqua County Historical Society, which is the oldest historical organization in the county, is run entirely by volunteers, with the exception of one part-time office manager. It's amazing the amount of work and dedication that our trustees put in, as well as our volunteers who go to the museum and help out there, and also help out with research. So it really is just a passion for all of us to be on the board. But no, they don't pay us by the minute. But
I was going to ask you, because this is where because I didn't read it today, but it starts here, goes down, and then it goes all the way It's in the back of the page. So I figured you could talk about it instead of me reading it.
Right. Well, yeah. So we'll sit there and we'll submit publicity, the media releases. So what they asked me to do is, well, since you have to talk about what's happening, maybe you should also help have a hand in steering what we decide upon. So they made me the programming chair.
Oh, boy.
So I'm also in charge of helping to put programming together. Not entirely by me. I mean, I think Michelle Henry does an awful lot of work. Jack Erickson does a lot of work. Our board president, Christy Herbst, helps out significantly along with all of our other board members. So it's a group effort, but I'm the point person in terms of finalizing our programming schedule on an annual basis and then relaying that to our members as well as the general public.
Well, since I segued into that, you want to talk a little bit about
Yes.
your program on
That's
the 27th?
why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're finally talking about this, Doc, because I wanted to let your listener, or your viewers,
We got plenty of time yet.
let your viewers know about our annual meeting. It's happening on April 27th, and so every year we have an annual meeting. We are required under our charter to have an annual meeting. It's for our members, because our members give us funding and we want to keep them up to speed on what's happening. So every year we have an annual meeting. It's usually held in the spring, usually in April. This year it's happening on April 27th. And so we give them an update on all the things that have happened with the Historical Society, whether it's funding we've received, whether it's renovations at the museum that have been undertaken, an update on our programming, the number of members we have.
You have a lot of members, if I'm not mistaken.
We're over 600 now.
Yeah, so
which is
you have to answer to a large group of people here.
Right.
And they're dues payers.
Yeah, that's basically what they do. You know,
Yeah.
you pay, if they're not happy with what we're doing, they no longer are members, and the funding goes down, and we can't do as much as we want to do in terms of running the organization. So yeah, we are accountable, and,
Okay.
and that's the way it should be.
So the annual meeting is like a business meeting in part,
Yes.
I'm assuming.
So Christy gets up there, Christy Herbst, our president, will get up there and explain what the business part of the organization, how things are going. Our treasurer will do that as well, Janice, and then we also have John Paul. Who gets
Janice
up there.
Brickhouse?
Yep.
Well, I'm in Rotary with Janice. She's
Yeah.
a wonderful lady.
Yeah, does a wonderful job as our treasurer, keeping an eye on the numbers,
Yeah.
right? John Paul. will give
Jean
an
Paul.
update on the McClurg.
The Wolfman.
A lot of things happening at the McClurg in the past few months,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful to go in there. If you haven't been in there in the past few months, check
Well, you
it out.
couldn't. It was under construction, so I got to get up there now.
Well, it's open now.
Okay.
And then I'll get up there and just give an update on programming as well as a preview of the programming that's happening. So that's the first part of the meeting. And then on April 27th, we also have a luncheon where you can mingle with your friends in the Historical Society, have a chance to talk about different things that are happening history-wise or otherwise. It's always fun to see a wide grouping of people under one roof assembling and talking about their passion
For a
history.
common passion, sure.
Right. And then at 1 o'clock, we always have a speaker, a presenter, who talks about a specific topic. And this year we have Jacob Ludis, who is a educator who now lives in New England, I believe in the Connecticut area. But he was originally from Chautauqua County, actually worked at Westfield in the school district there in the academy for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Dunkirk native.
Okay.
And Jacob has authored a book. He's put a book together about the county history. So I brought this along with me. This is a Centennial History of Chautauqua County, Volume 1. It was written by
Volume 1? How many volumes are
I think
there?
there's 3.
Oh, okay.
It was written by Forrest Chrissy, and this was written at about 1904, right as we were approaching the first centennial of the county.
115 years ago.
People say, well, then the history was written, it's done. And one of the fascinating things about history is that history is never static, right? I mean, it's never just, we like to think
Well,
it
just
is.
like we're saying, we keep discovering stuff all the time, right?
Right, and then there's new viewpoints in history. There's new ways to look at history, and that's what Jacob Ludis has done. Is he's put together a book. It's called "A Thread in the Fabric: The Chautauqua Erie Region to 1865." And what Mr. Ludis has put together is a history of not only Chautauqua County but Erie County, and all the way up from the early days, pre-incorporation of the counties, all the way up until the end of the Civil War. But what he does is he runs it as a parallel to the history of the United States of America. So as you think about what's happening nationally, he breaks it down into this almost a microcosm of what's happening locally in our neck of the woods.
So in other words,
here.
what's happening maybe down south during
Right.
this big debate about slavery, for instance, or gold standards or whatever, and then how does that reflect here in Chautauqua County?
Right.
Sort of
What
like that?
impact did that have in Chautauqua County, and how did the courses of national events interfere with what's happening here or influence
That
what's
makes
happening
sense.
here? So he talks about and runs a parallel, and then what he's going to talk about specifically when he comes to our annual meeting, which is free, by the way. I should get that out there. You
Free.
don't have to pay anything unless you want lunch. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So we will charge you $15 if you want a lunch. I'll get to more of that in a moment.
Okay,
but
sure.
the actual presentation at 1 o'clock by Mr. Ludis is free.
Okay.
And he'll talk about his research and the specific items in the book that relate to Chautauqua County. And he has a couple of, and I won't reveal them, but a couple of specific topics that I think a lot of people might not have otherwise have heard about, whether it be from this history book or some of the other ones that have come out since then. As I noted, there's always new history to be discovered and shared, and I have a feeling Mr. Ludis is going to be doing that when he presents on April 27th.
What was his drive? What was his passion? Why did he do this, do you think?
Well, I mean, he mentioned, I've been emailing him back and forth, and because he's a native of Chautauqua County, and he focuses not just on Chautauqua County, but Western New York, so Buffalo as well. And a lot of people don't realize,
have to do that.
Yeah, most people don't realize that Buffalo for the longest time was an industrial center. Besides New York City and Chicago, and even before Chicago, because Chicago didn't really come into its own until the middle
Buffalo
of the 19th
was the frontier
century.
for forever, right?
And Buffalo was on the lake. It was a port on Lake Erie, and it really was not just a national but an international player. And I think he appreciated that, being a Western New York native, wanted to write this book that talks about Buffalo and its place in American history, but also, by the way, he's from Chautauqua County and wanted to include that as well. So I think that was his drive. It's just, some of us have a passion in history, whether it just be a passing interest. And I'm surprised by the number of people that love local history, because if you go on Facebook or social media, whenever an old photo is shown, a historical photo, the number of likes it gets and the number of shares it gets is just astonishing, that so many people find that fascinating and interesting. And that's what this is. It's more of a spoken word than a visual, but it's the same principle. We're looking at our past and thinking about our past in a way we might not have done otherwise.
Do you ever get a chance to watch that show on TV, Unearthed?
No.
What they do is, real briefly, is, I don't know, let's just say they take a picture of a Westfield, for example, at the McClurg, and they graphically peel back the layers of what the building would have looked like 100 years ago, take away the facades, take away the dirt, and go down, 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 down.
Right.
And then so many times I've learned, below our streets were streets. Below that street was a canal. Below that canal, stuff we just don't know.
Right. I know that a friend of mine owns a building in downtown Jamestown, and you go down in the basement, and he goes, and this is where the street used to be. And I'm like, what? And he goes, there was a street that was about 3 or 4 feet below where the current street is, because it was all built up. So yeah, you're right. It's fascinating when you dig deep into physically or research-wise what you unearth.
Okay.
Pardon the pun.
Tough question. Okay. So why do history for you? Why? What would you tell people? Why should we even be involved with this? It's old stuff. It's in the past. So what?
Well, other than just appreciating the amount of work and effort that went into building the communities we live in, which is one of the reasons why I like it. You have context of what's our place in this world, in our society. What's our place in our community? How did we get here? You almost have to look back and reflect on, what it took to get us to this point, whether it be from somebody who ran a business or somebody who ran the state, such as Reuben Fenton. I mean, it's just interesting from my point of view to think about all the people, all the key players, all the minor players that have all played a role into getting to this certain point of where we're this point in history, and then where it's going to happen beyond that. What's the momentum behind where we're going? How are things happening to shape where we're at now, and how will that influence where we're going beyond? So it's almost, if you really want to have an understanding of where our community is going, or where things are heading, you almost have to think of your past, right? And then the old adage, those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking is for me, history is just learning what people did at one point in time, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I had never thought of that before. Or how did they do this, and how come I can't figure it out, and or you see these things, and I know you have them at the McClurg, these widgets down in the basement, and it's, what was this used for, or why would you, and it's so creative, the things that they made and did that we don't use anymore, but were the prototypes of what are now mechanicalized or electrified or whatever the term you want to use.
Right.
They were the origins of a lot of these ideas. So that's fascinating to me too.
Yeah, it is, and you think about, like I said, I have, for some parts of my family have only been here 2 or 3 generations. Other parts have been in Western New York for several generations. But you almost want to go on that time machine and see what life was like for your great-grandfather. Even my grandfather, who grew up in Jamestown in the 1920s and 30s, and would tell me stories, right? And you almost want to, that kind of sparks your imagination, and you want to think about how things used to be. So that's another thing I think that plays a role in your interest in history, and my personal interest in history, is just trying to imagine as clearly as possible what things were like for those who were here before me, and then what did they encounter. The streetcars of Jamestown, for example, or the old wagon road stagecoaches that used to come through in the 19th century, or even before the days of the train. Like I said, back in the 1820s, what was it like to get here? How did they get here? Those are questions that we ask ourselves, and then you want to read about it and learn about it, and then you want to share the interesting parts you found out with other people.
The Chautauqua County Historical Society, does it have a mission?
Well, our mission is primarily to preserve history in Chautauqua County as much as we can, and I'm not, obviously this isn't it verbatim, but it's also to share that information.
Yeah.
So the preservation part is the McClurg. We have artifacts, we have countless documents that are preserved for people that want to do research, or people that want to come in and just look at that cool farm instrument.
Right.
And then we also want to share, which is where the programming comes in, so to speak, or allow people to come in and use our library for research, where anybody who wants to learn about the history in Chautauqua County.
Do they have to have an appointment, I'm assuming?
Not often. I mean, it helps. It certainly helps. I think that John Paul and Sherry and the volunteers always appreciate people stopping by to say hello. But if you're looking for something specific that you want to do research on, obviously call up ahead of time.
Pretty much germane to Chautauqua County, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what would be the hours there that people could drop in?
We're not open on Mondays, Tuesday through Saturday, and I know that the hours.
I know it's
newsletter, by the way.
I know it starts at 10 because John always has to rush out of here at 10.
10 o'clock until I think 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. And the newsletter, by the way, Timelines is.
I get it. I have it. I get it at home.
All members. You pay an individual membership of $20. You get our quarterly newsletters of 4 issues, but that also gets you into the museum free of charge throughout the year of your membership. So you don't have to pay the $5 admission fee every time you go in.
And well worth it. I've been in that museum a number of times. It's just gorgeous. Jason, if you could write one book, what would it be on the history of Chautauqua County?
One book on the history of Chautauqua County.
What would be your
You really put me on the spot there, Doc. I've done a couple of presentations, and the one thing I've always found fascinating was before the trains arrived, how did they send implements and logistics of moving commerce,
people,
right? Basically commerce, getting supplies to a wilderness area. So I would probably want to just focus primarily on the first thing I did a presentation on, which was the water transportation of Chautauqua County, whether it be on Lake Erie, whether it be on the Conewago.
I didn't put you on the spot. You had this in the back pocket.
But I'm sure if you gave me time to think about it, there could be other things that I found just as equally fascinating and things I would want to write about.
Right.
So write about what you know, and since I've done research on that already, that probably would be my first choice.
Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and I got 1 minute left with Jason Semple, who's a trustee of the Chautauqua County Historical Society. Jason, are there things or events that you want to share that people should know about?
Yes, April 27th, our annual meeting I just talked about.
Right.
If you want to RSVP for the luncheon, please do so by April 19th. It's $15, but if not, it's free of charge. The lecture by Mr. Ludis is at 1 o'clock, and it's going to be at Lakeshore Assembly of God, 252 East Main Street in Westfield. Westfield Book and Paper Show is happening on May the 4th. That is an exciting event where we're going to have book vendors, postcard dealers, old photographs, and this is a fundraiser for the Historical Society. So there is a $5 admission fee for the general public and $3 for students, but it's awesome. It's like going into a museum of old magazines,
I went
books,
last year. It was
and
cool.
You don't have to buy anything, but it's always appreciated with the dealers. That is on May 4th at Eason Hall in Westfield, and that runs from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And then we have plenty more events happening on June 8th. If you want to learn about them, get a Timelines magazine or go to our Facebook page.
And we'll be sharing it here as well.
Please do.
You know, you and I should have a talk off. I think you and I could talk as fast as each other. I was listening to your pace there. Huh?
I might have you. My face.
I think you do. You have a way to suck in air faster than I do. Of course, I have a cold today. That's my only excuse. Jason, last last thoughts for anybody? Because we're about ready to wrap up now.
I would just say that if you want to be a member of the Historical Society, please consider joining. You can call up the McClurg or go online to mcclurgmuseum.org to find out how to be a member. You can easily donate right there, $20 minimum, and you are a member for the year. You get the timelines as well as the access to the museum. It's a wonderful organization. I'm very happy to be a part of it, and I hope to continue being a part of it for years to come.
Awesome. Folks, thanks for joining us today on Chautauqua Sunrise. We're going to do this all again next Saturday morning, right here at 9 o'clock at Access Chautauqua. And Jason, thanks for joining us today. And it's been fun. We got to do this again. I'm going to have to come over and see your new digs over there. All right, have a nice spring weekend, and we're going to Brockton. Go get your pancakes. See you soon. Bye now.